The iPhone Air is something of an enigma. Now, there's no doubting when you hold it and use it, it's a thing of beauty. It is stunning from virtually every angle. So much so, in fact, it feels as if it's breaking the rules of design and physics. It's just so damn thin. But now that I've been using the iPhone Air as my second phone for the last 6 months or so, some questions have started to crop up in my mind. And that's what I want to chat over with you in this video. Is the iPhone Air just style over substance? And are there too many compromises to be made to consider buying one? My name's David, and in this video, we are talking about the iPhone Air. The iPhone Air was launched last September alongside the 17 Pro and Pro Max, and the price, I think, surprised a lot of us. It starts off at £1,000 for the basic 256 gig model, and you can go up to £1,400 if you want to spec it with 1 TB of storage. It comes in 4 colours. I went with Cloud White, and I've never regretted it for a day. It looks gorgeous. The pictures you're seeing of it on this video really do not do it justice, I promise you. The iPhone Air is simply a thing of beauty. Those polished edges, those polished titanium edges, just add to this feeling of it being really premium. Yes, I know they're there to make it stronger, but it just adds to the illusion and to the physical feeling that it's a premium device that you've got. And in virtually every way, the iPhone Air is a premium device, but Apple have kind of let themselves down in 3 key areas I'm going to get to a little bit later on in the video. It is incredibly thin. Now, I can spew out the figures of 5.6 millimeters to you, and it won't mean a lot. You can look at it on a ruler and think, that's not that thin. It's not until you've got the thing in your hand, you realize just how thin it is, and light too. It's only 165 grams. So in many respects, it's the perfect phone to be carrying around all day. It's a win-win, thin and light. It's a eSIM only phone. I think it's a dual eSIM, so you can have 2 eSIMs running simultaneously in this phone. And when I switched over for the first time, this was the first phone that I switched over to eSIM. It's actually really, really painless. I was worried about what the process was going to be like, but it was really straightforward. The only thing against the design, as far as I'm concerned, and as gorgeous as I think the design is of the iPhone Air, I think there's perhaps too many buttons. They are quite well disguised into that titanium frame, but there were just too many buttons. I'd like to see it simplified. We've got the camera control button, the action button, the side button, and volume rocker buttons. If we could just, I don't know, find a way to make that layout simpler and easier, I think it would add to the overall aesthetic of the phone. The display is a stunning 6.5-inch display that is absolutely gorgeous. And somehow, because of the thinness of the phone, it almost feels like it's a waterfall display, that it's going from edge to edge. It's got 3,000 nits of max peak brightness, and it is just gorgeous to look at. And of course, it is 120 hertz refresh rate. See, in that area, they have made sure that it is a premium panel, phone, device, but these other key areas where they've just let themselves down a little bit. Whatever Apple have done to improve their scratch resistance on their phones this year is working. The ceramic shield on here and also the anti-reflective coating it's got have worked really well. Now, I don't use screen protectors or cases on hardly any of my phones for most of the time. And there's 2 reasons for that, really. A, I happen to love how these phones feel natively in your hand. I love the design of them. I like feeling them. But equally, I think it gives the chance for me to give you a better feedback on how the phones are lasting up if I use mine without screen protectors and without cases. And as you can see, the screen on here, well, it's virtually scratch-free after 6 months of using it. It's really lasting the test of time well. Now, the big design change came to the back of the phone with this Camera Plateau, as Apple called it. It's very Google Pixelish, of course, but it's meaningful as well. All the working parts of the phone sit in that Camera Plateau, which is how they've managed to get the rest of the phone so incredibly thin. And the other design aspect I like about it as well is that it does away with any camera wobble on the desk. If you're using it without a case, and I can't think of a single reason you'd want to go and buy an iPhone Air of all the phones and put that into a case, but without a case, there's no wobble on the desk as well. Now, the iPhone 16e, that was the first phone to have Apple's C1 modem in, and with that marked the switch, the change, where Apple are getting closer and closer to being in control of everything that goes inside of these phones. With this iPhone Air, not only do we get the next iteration of the modem, we've got the C1X modem, we've got Apple's A19 Pro chip in there with a 6-core CPU and a 5-core GPU, and we've also got a brand new M1 chip for better Bluetooth and Wi-Fi connectivity as well. And it's all of these reasons that are distilling down that we're now seeing much better performance, and with the new OS, we're seeing much better performance from our phones. Of course, I need to talk about the camera. This phone, I'm going to keep coming back to the fact, is A premium phone, and B, it's an expensive phone. It starts at £1,000. We only get one camera on this iPhone Air. Yes, the camera's got a 48 megapixel sensor. It's not as big a sensor as you'd find in the Pro and Pro Max, but it's still a decent 26mm f1.6 lens that you get on there. So it's going to let in quite a lot of light and it'll give you some great shots. I've never felt that the camera on there is a letdown at all. You can shoot in either 48 or 24 megapixels, and you've got a 2x tele as part of the system as well. And if you really want to risk your photos and be reckless, you can even use a 10x digital zoom as well. But then there were these wasted features. I can't think of another way to put it. Do you remember when the phone was launched? There's a couple of features we were told were going to be the next big things, but I don't know about you. I've never used them since the early review videos that I made. First of all, the dual capture. I can't think of a single time that I've used a dual capture since those first videos. It's just not something that I need to use. I suppose if you were making some sort of instructional videos and you didn't have a camera, it'd be useful. I don't know, but I've never used that since. And equally, OpenGate. Do you remember the whole OpenGate sensor thing was big news? At the phone event last September, that's being where you can hold the phone in one orientation, and if it spots more than one person or group, it will go in to spin the camera around and the picture around for you. Maybe because I don't do a lot of group pictures, I've not used it. But those two features, the OpenGate feature and the dual capture feature, I've never used since these phones come out. But I'd be interested to know, am I alone in that, or do you use those features? After talking about the camera, the next logical step is to go on to the battery. Now, it was weird how Apple went about this. Before the iPhone Air came out, we heard a lot of rumors telling us that the battery was going to be really, really poor in it. We were expecting the worst. It was battery Armageddon. It was going to be awful. Apple then kind of added to the weight of that argument by, at the event, releasing a battery pack on the same day at that event, making us think that the battery was going to be something awful. In all honesty, it hasn't been. It really hasn't been. I can easily get a good day out of using the iPhone Air on a single charge. I did a road trip last year. Not only did it serve me in the car for podcasts, music, sat-nav and so on, but when I parked up after 2.5, 3 hour drive and got out and was using it around the town, it carried on. It was simply fine. And many of my viewers, and on a post I put up, a community post up at the weekend, I was talking about battery life, and people are saying, no, it's not a problem. The battery on the iPhone Air honestly isn't a problem. Apple give this metric of 27 hours of video playback. It's a very weird metric that they use for battery life on their phones. But all I can tell you is the Air has not got an issue with battery life. It will see you through the day just fine. Now, do you remember I was talking about these areas, these three key areas that I think Apple have let themselves down in so many respects? This is a phone that's just perfect to look at and hold. But then Apple go and make these weird compromises sometimes. It just takes some of that good work away. The first of those is the port. We've only got the USB-C 2 port on here. So all you get is the 480 megabits per second data transfer speeds. Why in the 17 Pro and Pro Max we've got the better port and they're not using it on this phone, I can't begin to understand. It's one of those small areas that just makes you think, I'm spending £1,000 on this phone. Surely give me the best that you've got. It doesn't make sense to me. Also, we've only got a mono speaker. Now, I'm not going to say it makes a huge difference. Virtually all of the time when I listen to any audio from my phone, it's through AirPods. But nonetheless, knowing that Samsung, with their Samsung Edge phone, had stereo speakers in there, it shows it can be done, unless those two phones are so different, the engineering is so different, that there's some reason that I don't understand that we couldn't have stereo speakers in the Air. I don't know. But again, it just detracts from it being premium. For £1,000, you should expect, surely, stereo speakers. And also the camera. We have only got that single camera. Yes, it's a good camera. Yes, it will take you perfectly good photos. It will do its job well enough. But once again, I look at the Samsung Edge. That's got a dual camera system on the back. So again, it can be done. So why did Apple decide to take those three things away from this phone when they know that they're risking pushing the edge of design? Why not give people less argument not to love it and more of an argument to go and buy it because it's got everything you could possibly want on it? But for whatever reason, thin phones aren't selling. Maybe they're just too expensive. Maybe people don't want thin phones. I don't know. But both Apple and Samsung have faced big problems when it comes to sales with their phones. The iPhone Air, at the point of this recording, has only made up for between 3 to 6% of iPhone sales in the year. And Samsung, I think, have ceased production altogether of their Edge, again, because of slow sales. And because of those slow sales, it means now that the release of the iPhone Air 2 has been delayed. There's been all sorts of conjecture and all sorts of rumours going on over the past few months, but I think now it's distilled down to we know what's going on. There were stories that it was going to be spring of this year, then September of this year. But the latest good information now is telling us that the iPhone Air 2 won't be released until spring of 2027, along with the iPhone 18 and 18e. So it's a little while off now before we see what we're going to get on the iPhone Air 2. If that is true, of course, that will mean at next year's iPhone event in September, all we'll be seeing is the 19 Pro, 19 Pro Max, and the second gen, we believe, of the iPhone Fold. Now, speaking of the iPhone Fold, which we think is coming out later this year, it didn't take long for us to realise that the iPhone Air was a testbed. With the iPhone Air, they were just seeing what could be done with a thin panel. And I think from all the data they've got back and everything they've learned and the battery life and so on, they've got a lot more information that they can now take and carry forward into the first iPhone Fold. That iPhone Fold, by the way, is going to have brand new display technology on there. It's going to be a Samsung panel, an OLED panel, but it's going to be something called a COE panel, which is colour filter on encapsulation. There are reports also coming out of what we can expect to see on the iPhone Air 2 when it does come out next spring. We might be getting a thinner phone, somehow even thinner and even brighter. And trust me, it's plenty bright enough and plenty thin enough, but that's the rumours. Also, they're saying it might have that second camera. Whether it's going to be a wide angle or not, we don't know, but maybe we're going to get a second camera, a larger battery capacity, a vapor chamber, and possibly even use a 2nm chip as well. So if we have to wait until the spring of 2027 to get our hands on the iPhone Air 2, and those new features come down onto it, then I think the wait may have been worth it. Because those then, maybe we'll even get a quicker port on there as well. Then suddenly, a lot of those features that I was bemoaning about have gone away, and there's less reason not to go and buy the iPhone Air 2. But the Air, as beautiful as it is, and as much as I want to love it, still continues to this day to confuse me. It's £1,000 for a phone that's got a mono speaker and a single camera bump and a slow USB-C 2 port. Those compromises are tough to swallow. And then even harder is if you've got that money to spend, if you've got £1,000 odd to spend on a phone, for £100 more, you could go and buy a 17 Pro that's got all of the camera, the full camera array on there, and the faster port, and dual speakers, stereo speakers. Or for the same price as the iPhone Air, you could go and buy an iPhone 17, but with twice as much storage on it. This is what Apple does best. This design goes back to the Apple of old. This is the kind of design that you can think was in a very DNA of Apple's, the core of what the company's about, just showing what they can do. Sometimes you want gorgeous design just because. Sometimes there's not a reason for something to be made beautiful and expensive and premium and luxury. Sometimes it's just because it can be done, it should be done. And that's kind of where the iPhone Air sits. I love that it's around. I love that I get to use it. Every time I pick it up, it feels futuristic. But can I honestly say, hand on heart to you now, 6 months on, that it's a phone that I feel compelled to tell you is worth going to buy? No. Maybe with those new features that are coming down onto it, possibly then. It's a beautiful phone, but I just don't really feel I can honestly say it's a phone that you should go and buy as it stands at the moment. I really hope that you're enjoying these videos. I just get the luxury to sit down and chat with you every week about what's going on. And I want you to get involved in the channel, help it grow. I've got loads of plans of what I want to do with the channel this year, and I want you to be part of that and come with me. So things you could do, you get involved with our Discord server that we've got on the channel now. There's a link in the description how you can get involved with that. My free weekly video newsletter I send out to people that just leave me their details. Again, I'll leave you details in the description of where you need to go for that. It's my website, talkingtechandaudio.com. Leave me details, and every Sunday afternoon at 2 o'clock, you'll get a video turn up telling you what's going on behind the scenes, what's really happening, stuff I can't talk about in these main videos. And we've had a lot of new members join recently for that. So that's another way you can get involved. And also don't forget, subscribe. The most basic of all things still works and really does help the channel grow. So if you haven't yet subscribed, if you're enjoying the content I make, subscribe, notifications, you know all that stuff. Just do it for me. Let's just make this channel something special, something that's yours, something that's ours, and take it places this year. Hopefully you've enjoyed this video where I've given you my longer term thoughts about the iPhone Air. Or how about now you watch when I went on that road trip with it, just to see how well it lasted.